More than any other dwelling where I've kept my shoes, our church is home. Our church is a family where we support each other in times of happiness, sorrow, grief, and joy. Our church is a fellowship in faith where we lead by loving the person in front of us. Our church is where we find hope for today and tomorrow. Our church is a place of refuge from the world, where we are challenged in love and grace to love the church and the people. Our church embodies agape love. We are a cherished family, where friendships are cultivated through outstretched arms. Our church is the roots of where we found Jesus again. It is where we felt comfort and acceptance. Smyrna first, this is our church. Our church is Jesus Christ.
This is our church.
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 Hello, Smyrna First. My name is Wes Bunkley, and I've been a part of our prayer ministry for 7 years now. In fact, it was the prayer ministry that was, call it my entry point into Smyrna First, into better ways of offering my gifts of service. When I first started with the prayer ministry, I was simply asked to join, and I gladly joined, and I got to know a number of people who I had been going to church with for a number of years much better. And as I became more involved in the ministry, early on, my oldest daughter was involved in an accident, and it was a pretty traumatic experience for our family. And after it happened, I almost immediately sent some texts and emails out to folks who I knew were in the ministry, and almost instantaneously I started getting words of encouragement, prayers lifted up. And even though in that moment, that traumatic experience, my spirits were lifted and I felt comforted knowing that there were people who were praying for me and my family. And that's when it hit me that that's what the prayer ministry is truly all about. It's about offering support to those in need. And I think that just exemplifies Smyrna First more than perhaps anything. It's the prayer ministry is a community within our community to support an even greater and larger community. And after being on the team for a year and a half, maybe 2 years, I was asked to lead it. And I have been leading it since then. I've had many others join. And again, it's been perhaps the most rewarding experience to be able to connect with people and offer that same support that I just spoke of when I was in a time of need. We're able to offer that support to others in their time of need. And I often will get a text, an email, and thanks to this, wonderful advancements in technology that have been made over the years, I'm able to reach people almost instantaneously, and prayers are being lifted almost immediately when there's a need that is passed on to me. In my mind, prayer is a form of worship, and it's also a part of fulfilling your vows when you join a church. And you're asked, will you commit your prayers, your presence, your gifts, your service, and serving and being a part of the prayer ministry is truly a form of worship, and also fulfilling that vow of service. It's been very important to me, very important to my family, and especially during these recent challenging times that we've all been a part of. if we didn't have virtual connections, then we'd have no connections at all. And as a result, I've seen more prayer requests coming in, more forms of communication, and more ways of getting in touch with people who are in need of prayer. So while we've all endured some challenging times, I have seen our prayer ministry rise to the occasion and offer so much support that may not have been there without the need to connect virtually. So through that and with that, I would ask and challenge each of you to consider becoming a part of this ministry. It truly is an entry point into better ways to serve within the church. If you're looking for an opportunity to serve, this is perhaps the best opportunity that I can come up with, and I'm speaking from my own experience. But how difficult is it just to offer up a prayer for someone? That's pretty much the gist of being in the prayer ministry, but being part of a bigger community. It'll lead you to relationships that you didn't have before, help you to get to know people you didn't know before, and at the same time, this is our way of communicating with God. Prayer is the back and forth conversation with you and your Father. It's no different than having a conversation with your earthly Father. And I think, again, possibly the best way to get plugged in to this church is through this ministry. We're always looking for folks to serve. So recently we had a church family who was involved in a pretty bad automobile accident. Their oldest daughter was impacted the most and was severely injured and had to be rushed to ICU, and not in Atlanta. This happened out of town. I was notified almost immediately when it happened by Pastor Shaloa, and my immediate response was to get the note out to the prayer team, and so many folks on the prayer team already knew this family and were familiar with them, and just reached out to them, offered up prayers, and what appeared to be a very serious accident, but her return home from being out of town and to be able to be in her home happened 2 weeks earlier than anticipated. And I'm convinced that all the prayers that were being lifted up for this family made a significant difference. I can't tell you how appreciative they were to be getting notes and from folks who, some folks they did know, others they didn't know. But that's the community feel that's created through this ministry. And it's comforting, again, to know that you've got people who are lifting you up in prayer in your time of need. This is our church.